So welcome to the first ever completed sketchbook tour. This thing is covered in stickers, but this is the first sketchbook that I've ever finished all the way through. So it's a super big accomplishment for me. This is more of like a finished piece sketchbook rather than like a Mod Podge. So some of them are studies, some of them are, paintings like pre-paintings that I did, like this one. And some are just for fun, but you'll recognize a lot of them if you came from TikTok or Instagram. So let's get into it. So this was the first page in the sketchbook. It was a strong start. This was kind of like a pre-painting color mapping session for an original that I painted that has since sold, but it was a really strong start for the sketchbook, and I think that it's the reason that I kept working in it. So the first spread that I did was, people said that this reminded them of some TV show. I want to say that it was Steven Universe. If that's wrong, I'll put the right one on the screen. And I've turned this one into a print, and I turned this one into my Hazy Sunday print, both of which I love very much. And then this was just a study of Billy. I do portraits in the beginning of this sketchbook, and then they kind of fade out. But this one was a study of another artist, and I don't have the names in front of me, but I'm going to put all of them on the screen for the ones that are studies of other artists, because this was when I was really starting to just start to experiment with gouache. So this was like my beginning gouache sketchbook. So I really wanted to learn how to use the medium more so than anything else. This was an abstract flower study that I did, and this one was a study of perspective, which I really liked how this one turned out. I don't do a ton of portraiture in this one, but the ones that I did happen to like. So this one's just kind of like a Mod Podge of a bunch of different features in different colors. It was really fun, and this was just a roller skate photo that was on Pinterest. This is one of my more well-known pieces. It's a print, a journal. I think it's also a phone case, so it's a lot of different things, but I've done a couple different Wildflower pieces, and I just love it so much. This was the beginning of my obsession with mushrooms. You'll see that it gets much more intense. This is like a peeling orange one that I did. I really liked making this one. Some people think it's a snake, which I actually think is kind of cool, but it's not a snake, it's an orange peel. And this was another study of another artist, and I loved all of the Posca details. I did like regular pen and Posca, so it's like the white and black marks, and I really, really like it. I want to try doing more pieces in this style, but this was a study of another artist as well. Both of these also studies. I was really just like experimenting with style at this point. And I like the way that this one turned out, especially the sky. Wasn't too much a fan of this one. But this is back when I was painting like every day. Like you can see I did these two on the same day. And then this was the day that I got my Posca pens. So this is all Posca, not gouache, but I just wanted to experiment with them. And I love it so much. I love Posca pens. And here we have the start of my avatar phase. If you found me on TikTok through avatar, might have been through this painting. This is just Appa, and it's got a nice color scheme going on. This one was another study. It was more so just lazy because I was doing like a whole spread every day. This was like when I was like deep in quarantine, so I was like, whatever. This was just for fun. This is just a lighthouse, and this was another study of another artist. Didn't love this style, but I think I got pretty lazy with this one too. This one I'm extremely proud of. So I'm obsessed with the Mandalorian, and I really wanted to paint him, and I think this is the most detail I've ever done in like a portrait, and like one of the first times that I've ever drawn like a full character. So I really love it. And then this was just experimenting with color schemes. I was still deep in my Posca phase. So these two were turned into prints. This is the classic van piece, and a lot of Posca's used in this one, even more Posca's used in this one for the grass. So all these are both combos of more like mixed media with like gouache and Posca and ink. So here we have another pre-painting color mapping situation for my air temple piece. This is why I do it before, because Appa looked like he was standing on a mountain and I didn't want that, so I ended up changing it. But this was just a cityscape that I did. And then this was the famous Dragon Dance painting that I did. The background was all done in gouache with a little bit of Posca, maybe not even at all, but Aang and Zuko are both done in Posca and ink. So I loved making this one. Oh, I miss Avatar talk so much. But then we have this peaches piece that I did, and the garden landscape. Both of these are prints, I believe. And I loved like playing around with like the Posca pens in this one with like the squigglies and stuff. And I was really experimenting with color theory. So the desert painting is also a print. This one, I was still really going to town on the Posca pens. The obsession was real. This is the moon spirit from Avatar. It is Tui and La, I think. If I got that wrong, once again, it will be fixed on the screen. But this was the beginning of the koi fish obsession as well. I have an obsession with koi fish and mushrooms, if you are not familiar, and it's an addiction. This is probably my favorite spread in terms of like color scheme, because this one was really stylized, which I loved. Because I'm normally super blendy, but I tried to just like leave it with this one, and I really liked the way that it turned out. And then I also have a love for wave paintings. I did a couple in acrylic that I really loved, so I wanted to try it with gouache. So this is gouache with Posca pen on top, and I think that's it. Those are the only mediums used in this one. This one is also, both of these are prints, but this is probably my favorite page in the sketchbook ever. So moment of appreciation for that. These two are also prints. This one is, I got metallic Poscas. I don't know if you can see, but it's like outlined in gold. So I did jellyfish, and then I did, just like a slew of cacti, and I had fun with both of these. This is when I was still having fun in my sketchbook, and I wasn't focused on trying to make like pieces I could sell. So this was just messing around with those metallic Poscas that I got. So this one has the gold outline, and this one has the blue outline. The koi fish make a return here, and this was inspired by those floating lanterns shows that they have like all over the country. And I wish that I could go to one very badly, but it reminds me of Tangled too. So that's why it has like tangled colors, but it reminds me of both. And then this one is a study from like a really popular image on Pinterest. I just wanted to try out architecture, and I was getting more into foliage, and I would love to redo this one day because I feel like I could do it better. But this was also just a random landscape. I was kind of painting just to paint at this point, no real intention. More Posca pen madness. So this was another Aang painting that I did. I'm always surprised by myself when I do full body portraits because that is not my thing. And there's just a lot of playing with like different lines and like shapes and stuff. So more koi fish, are we surprised? So this one I was playing more with color theory. That's why you see the orange and the blue. I really liked this one. I wish that I could make it like one page because I was gonna make this one a print, but I was like, I don't know if photoshopping them together is gonna be enough. More color theory stuff. I wanted to try the night sky out here. Ignore the igloo, it's so bad. but I really like how bright this one is. Color theory works when I actually apply it. One of the brush hairs was stuck in there. I just think it's cool to play with like the clouds and stuff and blending colors into each other. And this was one of my first Patreon prints. So this is when Luca came out and was super popular. So I did a little painting of part of the town. And this was just painting water for fun. Never ended up doing this page, don't know why, but sometimes it happens. This was a page I was trying to make a YouTube video. This was before my YouTube burnout. I was gonna do a video that was like, you know, like X amount of ways to fill your sketchbook, and then I got burned out after like 2 of them. So, continuing with the wave obsession that I have, this was the next month's Patreon print. And this is where you can start to see, because I don't seal these pages, that like part of it comes off and it transferred over here. This one was really fun for me to do, but yeah. You can see all the places where it has chipped and peeled. I just don't care enough to seal them. When I went back through and I made prints out of this sketchbook, I just photoshopped over the parts that were like messed up and fixed them before I made the prints. So it just wasn't really a concern for me, but I was having a gold paint phase. Don't know if you can see that. And I wanted to paint Hogwarts, so the sky was done in the same style as the Aang and Zuko piece, if you noticed. This was a draw it in your style challenge. I'll credit the artist on the screen. I had so much fun with this one. I was experimenting with like layering and stuff. And this was just a quick still life warm up. I think this was also going to be part of the YouTube video that got thrown out. One day I'll make it, maybe. And then this is probably my most like popular painting that was on TikTok. So you can see all the places where it got broken and damaged, but that's okay. I fixed it for the print, so you'll notice the print looks all put together. This is what it really looked like before. So thank God for Photoshop and editing so that I could still give you guys this, because you guys were asking for prints of it, and I was like, oh no, it got ruined. But this is the Wildflower one that I did. I had so much fun with this one. I love ones that look more like patterns that have no focal point. I just think they're very like meditative to do. This one was a study of good old Van Gogh, and this was of the blossoms that are in Japan around April or so. I had so much fun with this one. More koi fish. This time, no eyes, no face, no spots. I was experimenting more with like the lily pads on top and the leaves and stuff. But this piece was the tribute that I made to Ed when he passed away. He was the voice actor for Carl in Disney's Up. So I replicated that painting that sits up behind, like in their house on the mantle. And I really loved making this one. It was a nice little tribute. This was when I started to run into issues with the sketchbook. So fun fact, this is why I started learning how to make my own. This was the page where I got fed up because it's so bumpy. If you can't tell, it's so bumpy that you can't even paint on it if you clamp it down properly. That was what started that. This was kind of like the oranges one, but I did it with apples instead. I just loved painting in this style where it was just like super broad strokes and stuff. It's a little damaged, but not that much. And this was the start of Gouache-tober. I have not been super consistent with Gouache-tober. Luna's hair is in this painting somehow. But this was day one, which was pumpkin. This was just another fun random study using this brush. It was super square and blocky. It's just like my new favorite style for gouache. But this was a failed attempt for one of the other Gouache-tober days because it was too bumpy to paint on. So you can see that at this point I started only painting on these pages. So this was day 2, which was forest, I think. So I did like a birch tree forest that was like in full fall swing. This is, I believe, the last one that I did. Yeah, this is the last one that I did on this side of the paper. It just became unusable. I forget which day of Gouache-tober this was, but the prompt was Black Cat. So I did a little recreation of my Patreon print that I had made for October. But this time making the cat go trick-or-treating. And then this was the prompt for Coven, and I didn't want to paint people, so I just painted all of these like random, eclectic, like witchy items. It was good fun. This is probably my favorite prompt so far that I've done in Gouache-tober. And then this was Crystal Ball was the prompt, and I got this gold paint that I just love, so I used that for this one. I also like this one a lot. But another mess up, but that's okay because the next day I made this one. So it's really cool to see how my mess ups change. So I didn't like the background color for this one, but I didn't want to paint over it either. I just got frustrated and I was like, I have to start over. So this is what the day ended up being, and look, more gold paint. I love the color scheme of this one so much, and I really just like had fun with it instead of trying to make like a finished piece, which I kind of got away from in this sketchbook, but returned to in the end, just making pieces to paint. And then this was, I think the prompt for this one was jack-o'-lantern, and so this was the one that I made for that day. I really love how bright the colors are. This one was so much fun to make. And then the second to last one is I was doing a video where I mixed digital art and traditional art, and so I did a Patronus using the light wand in Procreate. That was so much fun to do. And then this last one, I experimented with the paints that I got from Paul Rubens. So you can see that I added that in the shimmery parts with their pearlescent watercolor paint. And yeah, this is the last painting that's in the sketchbook. And that is the entire thing. So the next one that I'm starting is this one. I'll show you. So this, you might recognize the style of it. This is my handmade sketchbook that I sell on my shop. I got so upset with the buckling in this one that I was like, okay, I'm learning how to make them myself, because the binding of the, like when it's glued binding, it's very difficult to like, for the pages not to warp because they can't return to their original, shape after they're exposed to water. So I wanted to do one that had like a sewed binding and that was like open spine so it would lay flat. So the version that you're seeing here is one of my prototypes. So it's the paper that I put in the new ones, but it was one of my cover prototypes. So ignore how ugly it is. I covered it with stickers to make myself feel better. But it has Sissy's Art Cafe on the front, Astral Emma, myself, and then Laurel on the back. So I haven't started in this one yet. I'll be doing some new prompts for Gouache-tober on here, but this is what it looks like on the inside. So it's lay flat and double-sided treated paper, so like intentionally double-sided, and they're all hand sewed very strongly, and so they lay flat and they don't warp as much, and I'm really happy with it. So the next tour that you see will be of this one, but I'm really stoked that I finished this one, but it's kind of like a what now feeling. So who knows what's next, but thank you for watching this video, and my socials are all going to be in the description so that you guys can continue to follow along the journey with my next sketchbook, because I feel like I should do something new. I just don't know what yet, so I have to do a lot of experimenting, but that's what sketchbooks are for. So until next time, I will talk to you guys later.